Whenever a country starts growing at the pace at which Uganda is growing today, you start to see a quickly widening gap between those who seize the opportunity and those who get left behind.
As Christians, our mission is to help Ugandan entrepreneurs seize the opportunity and start businesses that will create jobs for thousands of others.
I am co-founder of Paltrek Adventures. I am an ABI graduate.
I am a CEO of Ganem Advertising and Media. I am an ABI graduate.
I am the founder of Crystal Order Solutions, and I'm an ABI graduate.
Hola, my name is Jun Shiomitsu, and I'm the president of African Business Institute, or ABI. It is such an honor to be able to speak to all of you. And to the Honorable Dr. Juan Pablo and his team, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you sincerely for your invitation, your vision, and your expert organization of this Congress. I have heard a lot about the amazing people in this Congress. I have heard about how forward-thinking you are and how excited you are about innovation. And I've heard so much about your province, Tucuman. And I sincerely hope that I will get to visit you next year to meet you all face-to-face. I am excited to learn from you. Right now, because of the coronavirus pandemic, I'm sending you this video from my hometown in Tokyo, Japan. But I live and work in Uganda, a beautiful, gorgeous East African country right on the equator. It is the source of the River Nile, the longest river in the world. It has everything from mountains to savannas and jungles to snow-capped mountains. And it is home to 40 million amazing, hard-working people, and ranked the most entrepreneurial country in the world by the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, a UK-based think tank. But Uganda is not all about its beautiful nature. It is also a very industrious country. My friend described Uganda's capital city Kampala best when he visited me a few years ago. He said, "It feels like the entire city is under construction. You can almost feel it grow." And here's the best part. Uganda's population is young. With an average age of 15.6 years old, roughly half that of Argentina and 1/3 that of Japan, you can imagine how in a country like Uganda, education is so important. Youth empowerment is so important. And you can imagine how creating new jobs, new employment, and new businesses is a matter of the nation's future. And so in a minute, I would like to tell you a little bit about what we do at African Business Institute, or ABI, in countries like Uganda and other countries where we operate, such as Malawi, to educate, invest into, and mentor young entrepreneurs and raise new businesses, new employers for the next generation of youth. But before that, I was asked by the organizers of this Congress to tell you about my personal story. And I thought that was a great idea because when I look back, that is actually where it all started. So today, I would like to break my talk down into two sections. Number one, my personal education journey and how its unconventionality shaped what I do today. And number two, what we do at ABI, improving the bridge between classroom achievement and real-life credibility. So number one, my personal education journey and how its unconventionality shaped what I do today. I'm humbled whenever a young man or woman comes to me after, say, one of my speeches or lectures, and they tell me, "I'm so inspired with your story." I'm humbled because I know where my career started. It didn't start with me. It started with my parents and how they educated me. I was homeschooled. That's right. I never set foot in a school growing up. And my first time doing so was when I went for my MBA at Cambridge University when I was 29 years old. I was educated by my parents and my uncle and aunt until I was 21. And as we learned later, we were one of the first homeschooled children in all of Japan. Now, my homeschooled past is especially relevant and interesting today during the coronavirus pandemic, because back then I would never have guessed that one day in the year 2020, when I was 40 years old, the whole world would be studying from home. And today, I would like to share with you about some of the important lessons I have learned about what makes study from home not just possible, but incredible. From when I was 7 till I was 16, my parents in Japan would buy curriculums and school books from the US, and then they would have me plan and create my own schedule. And then they, or a private tutor, would teach me and accomplish that schedule together. It wasn't easy for my parents. I'm sure it was absolutely frustrating at first. Can you imagine the study plans created by a 7-year-old child? It's nonsense. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere, all over the place. First, they had to teach me how to plan, how to manage a project of things I don't understand towards a goal. If I made an unrealistic schedule, my mother would tell me to redesign it again and again until it was. It was hard and completely hands-on for my parents. And it was even harder for them to keep me accountable to the schedule I created and to discipline me if I did not finish what I said I would finish on time with good results. But thinking back, this shaped my mentality from a very young age. First of all, it instilled a mentality that was focused on results, on the final product, and on being able to think by myself and plan by myself on how to get there. What mattered was not how many hours I studied, it wasn't how often I studied. What mattered was that I took ownership of my own schedule by designing it intelligently and accomplishing it responsibly. Second, it gave me responsible freedom. When I was done with my schoolwork for the day, no matter how early it was, I could go and explore other things that interested me. On the other hand, if I didn't finish my schoolwork, or worse, if I started falling days behind schedule, I would begin losing the freedom to do the things that interested me. So this gave me huge motivation to find ways to finish my work fast and well. The faster I completed my studies, the more freedom I had. And boy, did me and my siblings use it creatively. My younger brother, for example, was interested in computers. At the age of 8, he disassembled my father's Apple computer piece by piece and got into a lot of trouble. But then he put it all back together again, and the computer worked fine. At age 11, he got a cardboard box, gathered some computer parts like the motherboard, the central processing unit, and hard drives, and created his own cardboard computer. Today, he is the CEO of a large IT firm. As for me, I loved reading and writing. I wrote my own sci-fi novels. And when my brother and I got computers around when we were 13 or 14, we went deep into 3D graphic designing and even created our own computer games, pulling the storyline from some of my sci-fi novels. I was also interested in planes and rockets, and I would make realistic airplanes out of cardboard and plastic, and I would make rockets using gunpowder that I extracted from fireworks. So, although it's true that homeschooling is not for everyone, and although it's true that it takes a certain kind of parent and a certain kind of family for it to work, but when you get it right, Me, I had a fantastic childhood. But actually, I only realized the true value of my upbringing afterwards when I went into banking. All my childhood, I've been taught to never settle for how things are usually done and to always find a quicker and better way to do it. Never fear something I don't understand, but to instead conquer my fear by learning it quickly. Plan realistically but aggressively, and then execute boldly. Always accomplish work with time to spare so that I could do other things I loved. When I joined Citibank at age 23, I was originally hired on a 5-month contract basis because I had no formal academic qualifications. But 2 weeks into the job, my natural instinct from my upbringing kicked in. I educated myself with how the department worked, drew up a proposal for making the department produce results faster and better, and marched up to my managing director's office. Thinking back now, that was frankly a stupid thing to do. I was basically going to my boss's boss to tell him I knew how to do his job better than he did. He was 56 and I was 23. Thankfully, he actually listened to me and read through my proposal, and he liked it. He looked at me sternly and said, "Who taught you this, and where did you learn it?" And I remember sheepishly answering, "At home." So he said, "You're very bold to walk into my office like this, but I like you. So why don't we do this? I'm going to put you in charge and have you lead these changes you proposed." And just like that, I was made a full-time project manager and went on to become one of the 6 project managers that incorporated Citibank Japan Limited into a Japanese bank, created Citibank Securities Limited, and Citicorp Services Limited. And after that, I was privileged to become the youngest assistant vice president of the Treasury Department at age 26. And after getting my MBA from Cambridge University, I co-founded Deutsche Bank's new economic think tank called Global Financial Institute in Switzerland and the UK, working together with the British House of Lords and economists around the world. So my banking career has been one of constantly starting new things, being thrust into environments I don't understand, learning how it's done, and then finding new ways to do it better, planning for it, and executing it. None of this would have been possible without my unconventional homeschooled upbringing. It taught me how to think. It taught me to be bold and cool-headed in the face of uncertainty. It taught me the value of combining freedom, creativity, and discipline. So why am I sharing all this with you? I don't always talk about these things because it's a little embarrassing to seem like I'm trying to elevate myself, but I'm sharing it anyway because I think there's something valuable in this story, valuable especially for the purpose of this Congress. The point I'm trying to make is about the importance of creating in young men and women a doer mentality, of not asking, how do people usually do this? Or how would you like me to do this? But rather, what is it that needs to be done? And what's the best way to do it? It's easy to say, but it takes an entire childhood to make it part of who you are. This doer mentality is not only going to benefit the person himself or herself, it is what the world actually needs and has historically had such a difficult time finding in its people. I firmly believe that we, the human race, our societies, our countries, still have so much unfulfilled potential. And the leaders who will help us fulfill that potential are people who are not satisfied just doing things the way things are done. We need leaders who constantly try to do things faster, better, more ethically, and more sustainably than how it's done today. The logic is very simple. There will be no progress in the world if its people are just satisfied with doing things the way they've always been done. I believe that this doer mentality is ultimately what will make the world a better place. Our families, our communities, our industries, our economies, they become better one doer at a time. And as teachers and instructors, I believe we have a responsibility, not only to our students, but also to the world as a whole. Our job is not just to teach our students how the world works, but to instill in them the creativity and freedom to think and act upon how the world can and should be a better place. Our societies will progress and improve with every doer that we raise. So how do we instill this kind of mentality in the young men and women we teach? And to talk about this, I would like to move on to our next topic, which is what ABI does and why, improving the bridge between classroom achievement and real-life credibility. So when I was 34, I founded African Business Institute, or ABI, designing it from zero based on the principles I had learned through my homeschooling years and banking career. I like to think of ABI as an institute that produces doers. ABI is a full package business education, incubation, and investment institute based in East Africa. And ABI's program offers three main things: an accredited one-year postgraduate business diploma, investment opportunities into their business ideas, and mentorship or consulting once our graduates launch their businesses. Since our first class in 2017, ABI has launched 23 new startups in the African countries of Uganda, Malawi, and Liberia. And the amount of money invested into each business ranged from about $8,000 to as high as $46,000. And the businesses also cover a wide range of industries, including well drilling companies, advertising companies, apparel and jewelry makers, call centers, agricultural companies, virtual reality and blockchain companies, cafes, and even app-based cake delivery companies. So this is what our curriculum looks like. First of all, the students spend a year covering a curriculum that may at first seem pretty familiar to anyone who has been to a business school or an MBA. But if you look carefully, you will see how some of the year is custom designed specifically to start businesses. There is the ideation or idea creation module, 2 business plan creation modules, live pilot project modules, which is basically a prototyping and testing module, etc. And what's interesting about ABI is what happens after graduation: investment. We invite investors to fly in from all over the world to get to meet our students' new businesses and see their presentations. And finally, we provide mentoring and coaching for a long time after they graduate. At ABI, we don't say, graduation, good luck. We say, graduation is just the beginning. There are also some very unique things about our program because it is designed to nurture what I call the 5 C's that create doers. And the 5 C's are curiosity, creativity, commitment, character, and credibility, which includes confidence. Now, because of time constraints, let me just focus on the 5th and I think most important C, credibility. Young people often ask me, what's the best thing I can be doing right now? And my answer has always been the same: build credibility. Build a you that both you and others can actually believe has real substance, real experience, and real potential. This, I think, is very important for a prosperous future. To get ahead in life and grow your career, not only do you need many kinds of other people to choose to believe in you along the way, you need to be truly confident in yourself. And when you have both, the world begins to open its doors to you. So let me ask you something. How do you do that? How do you build credibility? Well, it all comes down to two words: track record. Things you have done or accomplished before. That's what makes people believe in you. That's what makes you believe in yourself, that you've done it before or done something similar before. During my time in banking, I interviewed over 100 people who were applying for a job in Citibank, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. And I can tell you now, as the person sitting on the other side of the interview table, number one, I can smell inconfidence from a mile away, and that gets an immediate no from me. Number two, everyone applying for a job has similar grades. They were all smart people, so I was looking for something that differentiated them above and beyond. Yes, traditional academic grades are important pieces of track record, for sure. But what makes a candidate stand out in terms of credibility has to be about things he has actually done and accomplished in the past in the real world, not just inside the classroom, not just scoring highly in traditional schoolwork. You could have scored highly in your academics, but there are also candidates who have created their own computer before, written a New York Times article before, organized fundraisers for cancer before, written music before, built a car before, created their own best-selling app before, directed their own movies before. You can't compete with actual, tangible track record just by having high academic grades. The same goes for someone trying to get investment for a new business idea. Academic credit will get you half of the way there. What's going to make the investor say, I like you, and I'm going to invest in you, comes down to whether you can answer questions such as, how many of these products have you made so far? How many have you sold so far? What mistakes or failures have you experienced so far? Show me the prototype of your product. And that is one of the biggest things ABI tries to help our students achieve: academic and tangible track record, and thus credibility and confidence. When I designed the ABI curriculum, I wanted ABI to become a business school where students' achievements translate smoothly into the language of the real business world. I wanted our graduates' ABI track record to be something that is immediately relevant and measurable in the real business world. I wish I had more time to go into more detail about the other 4 C's: curiosity, creativity, commitment, and character, but for now, let me take you back and talk about some of the unique factors that make ABI a unique program. And you will see how all the 5 C's are intentionally embedded in the program. There are many unique factors, but for today, let me focus on 5 of them. The first unique factor is the 50-50 rule. At ABI, we believe that the value of a business program completely depends upon its level of relevance to the environment in which our graduates will work. This is why ABI promises students what it calls the 50-50 rule. 50% of ABI's program consists of in-class MBA-level lectures and classroom content. The other 50% takes place in the real live world in the form of high-value internships in companies, ideation or idea creation, field trips to visit various businesses and industries, and later on, when student teams are creating business plans and gearing up for investment, they spend months researching, prototyping, and testing their businesses in the real live world. The 50-50 rule allows students to spend their year at ABI not only studying in the classroom, but also pursuing the 5 C's outside of the classroom. They get to explore many industries to find what interests them. This is to awaken in our students the first C, curiosity. They tend to identify areas in which, in each industry that could be improved upon by a new business to become faster, better, stronger, more sustainable, and more ethical. This is to nurture creativity, the second C. They get to form teams to dream, plan, experience, and work together towards their business idea. This is to help build character and commitment, the third and fourth C's. And finally, they get to build and test their prototypes in the real world. This, as we discussed before, is to build credibility, the fifth and final C. This is a photo of one of ABI startups called Bilboda in month 9 of their ABI year. What you see is a prototype of their product, a motorcycle taxi that also doubles as a mobile billboard for companies that want to advertise their products on public transportation, something that has not yet been seen in Uganda. These are the activities, we believe, that help build credibility in front of investors and confidence amongst the team. It provides credibility in that the team's businesses are not just a business idea, it is a product. There is a track record. Even before launching the business, this team has already done what they are talking about. And this brings us to another one of the unique factors that define ABI. The second unique factor is our team-based curriculum. From very early on in the program, ABI students are made to study and operate in teams, which we call companies. Each company has its own CEO, CFO, and other officers. And this provides our students with a simulated company environment as they take on team assignments, team internships, and team workshops. So by the time they are ready for investment, each startup will already have been innovating, studying, and working together as a team for more than half a year. As one ABI graduate said, ABI gives students an opportunity to operate like companies even before they graduate. So imagine this, a student can enter ABI alone with just a big dream to start a business one day, but unsure exactly how, when, and with whom, or oftentimes not even sure about what the business is going to be. After a year at ABI, this student can graduate with a full team that has already been working together for half a year, an actual prototype of their product, a full 30-page business plan complete with actual market research and product test results, and possibly even sales records. This is another one of ABI startups called Tybee Cakes. Josephine, the founder, is a cake baking veteran and wants to create a baking kitchen where at-risk and vulnerable women can come to take classes. And here's the twist. She aims to sell these cakes through an app, providing these women with a new stream of income. Now, even before she graduated, she has already sold over 40 cakes on the app. Now, that sounds good to an investor. Our third unique factor is how our curriculum is designed to get as many different kinds of people as possible to come teach. Our curriculum is made up of 24 units of 2-week modules. 2 weeks of business strategy, 2 weeks of financial management, 4 weeks of accounting divided into 2 modules, and so on. This model has allowed us to invite a wide range of professors from world-class universities, as well as busy entrepreneurs and professionals from all over the US, UK, Asia, and all over the world. The model has also allowed us to create strong, lasting partnerships with Oxford University, Cambridge University, and many more who have annual exchange programs with us, sending their professionals, their MBAs, and alumni to teach at ABI 2 weeks each year to help our students prepare their business plans. I love this model because it really awakens our students' curiosities, and the amount of credibility it provides is also phenomenal. Every year, Oxford University sends a team of MBAs to ABI in a program called NCIGO, a 2-week business pitch workshop and business competition that attracts a lot of national TV and press. And the winning ABI student team gets a cash prize and gets to tell investors that they were the winner of the Oxford NCIGO business competition. That, again, sounds great to an investor. The video I'm going to play for you now is a testimonial from one of our favorite visiting lecturers, Christina Partsenevelos. She taught at ABI in 2017 as a member of the Oxford University NCIGO team. She then came back to teach again in 2018 when she was Fox Business Network journalist and presenter. In this video, she talks about her incredible experience lecturing at ABI.
My name is Christina Partsenevelos. I'm born in Montreal, Canada. I moved to Toronto, lived in Edmonton, moved to Oxford, and now I live, hopefully permanently, in New York City, where I work as a financial journalist and presenter for a network some people have heard of. It's called Fox Business. This was my second year at ABI, and the reason why I decided to come back again was just the organization from Marcelo and June. I thought it was so well run. It could have been a program offered at Oxford or any other well-renowned school. And you really saw the students pay attention, listen, and take what you're trying to teach them and apply it to either workshops or group projects. It just felt like a worthwhile trip, which is why I decided to come back this year. This year's class was phenomenal when it came to back and forth dialogue. So we teach a certain topic like negotiations, and then they would all engage. And I think this year's class really took it up a notch by sharing their individual experiences. And I find that that's the most beneficial way to learn. It's not just a teacher talking to a class, it's a dialogue. We can all learn from each other, and I really think this year they brought that to the table. I think my biggest takeaway with this particular class was how quickly they moved and how quickly they grasped all the material. So I think I probably should have been even more prepared with more content, because we covered so many topics, and not just going through it quickly, but doing some workshops, presentations, grading schemes. So I think, if anything, just come with even more material. I think it would actually be really beneficial if other working professionals joined the African Business Institute and came for 1 to 2 weeks. It's nothing. It's vacation. I understand you have to give it up, but the reward is just so worth it, because not only are you teaching students every single day, engaging with them, learning from them, but then on weekends you can actually enjoy some trips. I went down to Lake Malawi in Uganda. We went away, we visited the town, we saw local businesses. That's not something you're gonna do in North America or in Europe. This is very unique. Unfortunately, I think it's over 15-hour flight for me to get here, so I can't come all the time to see the progress of the students and their companies, but I love hearing about anything that they've done, how they've grown. I know last year's class, several of them have turned it into businesses, so it's so nice to be able to still get updates online. I think though that both classes need to know that I will be there via social media, email, willing to reach out should they have any questions. And even for the future classes, I hope I can come back again and teach and meet them and see how they progress throughout their careers.
So our fourth unique factor is our credit rating system, the ABI Credit Score, or ABICS system. As I said before, ABI is designed as a business school where students' achievements in the classroom translate smoothly into the language of the real business world. And in the real business world, what an investor wants to see in a startup before extending credit, in this case credit meaning a loan, is none other than what we discussed before: credibility. One of the biggest problems facing young entrepreneurs, especially those just coming out of university or business schools in developing countries, is the lack of credit, the lack of access to loans, the lack of access to capital. And the biggest cause for this is the lack of ways to measure credit worthiness or credibility of a young entrepreneur who has no credit history, no track record. In the developed world, credit worthiness is measured by credit card payment history, bank account transaction history, and so on. But these entrepreneurs in Africa do not have any of these. So ABI developed the ABIC system because we believed that schools and universities have enough behavioral data on each student, which, if properly analyzed, can accurately assess the student's trustworthiness and therefore creditworthiness, and therefore the amount of loans he or she should be eligible for. The ABICS numerically measures a student's creditworthiness based on his or her academic performance, punctuality to class on a daily basis, tuition payment history, and many other metrics that then go into an algorithm to produce a credit score for the student and a recommended interest rate for the student's business should an investor want to invest into it. And here is the big twist. Even if a student paid all his tuition on time, scored A's on all subjects, was never late for class, and scored perfectly in every other factor, he would only get a B rank ABIC score. In order for the student to get an A rank ABIC score, he would have to go above and beyond what is required of him. If, for example, he had an internship assignment, he would get a perfect score if he completed the internship perfectly and submitted a perfect internship report, but that would give him a B ranking ABIC score. To get to an A, he would have to surprise us with something unexpected that we did not give instructions for, such as completing the internship and making revenue through it. This ABIC score does not only significantly increase investors' willingness to invest in our students' businesses, it also encourages students to constantly think beyond how something is supposed to be done, beyond what is expected of them, and creatively find ways in which to do it better, faster, and more ethically and sustainably, and more profitably. The fifth and final unique factor about ABI that I would like to share with you today is that we are a faith-based business school. I am a Christian believer myself, and I strongly believe that one of the strongest driving forces behind a successful startup is true passion and a faith-driven sense of purpose. It's what makes an entrepreneur forsake the security of traditional employment and embrace the terrifying journey of starting a company. It's what keeps a startup pushing forward even when everyone else expects it to fail. And it's what makes the life of an entrepreneur truly satisfying and the achievements truly meaningful. The populations of the countries we operate in are 80 to 90% Christian. There are many people in Uganda and Malawi who are motivated towards their life choices by their faith above all else. As a Christian institute, ABI draws that passion out of our students through their faith by providing them a path where they can practically put into action what they passionately believe deep down. Number one, that every person has a responsibility to leave the world a better place than they found it, and that every Christian business has a duty to help improve lives and transform communities for good. ABI is designed to empower our students through the very faith that defines them, and I firmly believe when a student starts planning a startup not just for profit, but as a way to live out their faith and values, once that passion is unlocked and harnessed, that is half the journey complete. With this in mind, there is a final video I would like to share with you. In it, our students describe their passion for the entrepreneurial journey ahead and what ABI means to them.
A word that describes ABI? Visionary.
Very practical, very engaging.
Eye-opening, stressful, hectic.
Having an idea and then coming with that idea to ABI. Mine was baking. I thought after ABI I would just go back and continue with my baking. But trust me, at this point, ABI has changed my thought altogether.
The environment I'm in, the zeal I see from others, the the passion for it, I'm like, okay, so this is really serious.
When you get someone who believes in your idea and you feel like, yes, I'm not alone, I'm not crazy.
Business is now done from my side to actually cause tangible effect. I do not just do business to make profit for today. I do business to create a platform of transformation for the future.
My goal after completing ABI is to start a business, a godly business, a kingdom-centered business.
My first day of class, I felt like I was probably attending a theology course or something like that. I mean, each class starts with a scripture, and all these scriptures actually inspire.
My journey so far at ABI has shaped my thinking about business, not only to do business for ourselves, but to do business to win souls for Christ.
I think we have a bright future as Ugandan entrepreneurs.
Bring that little idea you've been suffering with, you will be amazed at the outcome.
You will see your dream coming true.
So in closing, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for listening and for the incredible work that you are doing to raise the next generation that will change the world. It is such a privilege to be part of you, because what we're doing here together at the Tucuman International Congress for Education is declaring in one voice that our children's future is worth our life's work, that to give them a better, brighter future than we can ever imagine, we will never simply settle for how education has always been done. That through our united efforts for innovation in the field of education, we are committed to always look for a better way to give the next generation a future that past generations could only dream of. I'm incredibly honored to be speaking to you all when you are the true superheroes. Thank you for having me as your speaker this year, and I sincerely look forward to getting to meet all of you in person next year in Tucuman.